Reggie Bush is suing USC, Pac-12, and the NCAA. This is another case of past athletes wanting to be fairly compensated for their NIL. But what I think is important to note is Reggie Bush getting his Heisman back shows the change that is happening in college athletics. His attorney states this case is not just about seeking justice for Reggie Bush, it's about setting a precedent for the fair treatment of all college athletes. Our goal is to rectify this injustice and pave the way for a system where athletes are rightfully recognized, compensated, and treated fairly for their contributions. So, exploitation of these athletes are still happening and will continue to happen until the system changes. We've talked about it already a lot today about the system and the rules behind it. And there was a conference and panel discussion around how NIL has played out on campuses that highlighted both Nick Saban and Charlie Baker. And Nick Saban stated, and I quote, "College sports are not a business. It's revenue producing. We reinvested in the players and opportunities for non-revenue sports so that they have an opportunity to graduate and compete." Nick Saban then went on to explain that should players be paid more money in the NIL budget, they would be considered employees and have to pay taxes on every dollar they receive. So, for so many years, the paying taxes argument has been made on employment. And to me, that's just not valid anymore. Everyone right now, in real time, is technically supposed to pay taxes on their athletic scholarship from the stipend money they get. You also pay taxes on NIL deals. So I just don't think it's a reasonable claim towards employment anymore on this, like, you have to pay taxes. You already are paying taxes. And if you're not, you should be. I also find it funny that Nick Saban, out of all people, are claiming college sports isn't a business when his paycheck in 2023 was $11.4 million. And even now in 2024, not as a coach, but as an advisor, his base salary is $500,000. So to me, it's just like, you of all people should know that this is a business, but it's also just another person and another case of people trying to limit athlete compensation.
I mean, I think the whole business side to it with 11.4 million is a kind of hard argument to make, but I think even the advisor role or what he's doing with College Game Day, etc. Like, I think that is his own NIL nowadays because he's retired, he's out of the game now. I think that's his NIL at this point. So, I mean, kudos to him, but yeah, the 11.4 is difficult. I think it's interesting to say revenue versus business, which, I mean, he's obviously saying revenue versus profit. I think it's interesting because he does bring up a good point of trying to give this money to non-revenue teams and what that will look like in the future, which we've talked about plenty. Like, this will destroy teams and programs moving forward unless they can get endowed. Realistically, that's what's going to happen. And endowment, by the way, is just more boosters coming in for smaller sports. That's what it means. Yep. We just saw it with Cal Golf a few weeks ago. 25 million anonymously just showed up, right? And I mean, they're set for life now, which is awesome to see. But it's mini collectives that just aren't for football and men's basketball. And fortunately or unfortunately, that's the future. So I think, yes, some of these arguments are outdated. People are supposed to be paying taxes, which is a whole other conversation we can have another time. But yeah, I mean, just to close out with that, it's hard because I totally do personally agree with them. Just because there isn't a set model for what we're gonna do moving forward.
That's why we have to create it. Like,
I know that's everything I'm saying. Like, I'm not against the idea. I'm against, so again, just to clear my argument here, I'm not against the idea. I'm against the fact that there's 50 different rules for 50 different states and everybody gets to do whatever they want. I don't like that. I want there to be an even playing field so that everybody can compete at the highest level. That's what I want. My issue is they can do this and these people can't because they're in different states. Like, can we just create a guideline instead of changing the word booster or donor, whatever it was in the House settlement? Can we just come up with a set of rules that everybody can agree on and pass it federally? Like, could we do that instead, please?
Yeah, you'd think.
I'd love to think so.